Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. 7 years ago, I, now 32 male, was close with my family. We weren't perfect by any means, but we were tight-knit. I come from a big family, 3 siblings, including my younger sister, Emily, now 29 female. Growing up, we were the typical loving, supportive bunch. Family dinners every Sunday, holiday vacations, the whole 9 yards. My parents were the kind of people who always preached about family loyalty and sticking together no matter what. I really bought into that. Emily and I were especially close back then. She was the golden child, the pretty one, the smart one, the one who seemed to have her life together. I loved her, and we had this bond that I thought was unbreakable. She started dating Josh when she was 21, and he was the perfect guy, or so I thought. Josh was everything a parent would want for their daughter. He was kind, responsible, had a good job, and most importantly, he loved Emily to death. They were together for about 3 years, and they were set to be married when everything went to hell. But for a while, I had a nagging feeling something was off with Emily. She'd always been close with Josh, but suddenly she was sneaking away on weekends, making excuses not to see him, and acting distant. It felt wrong, but I didn't have any proof. Just that gut instinct telling me something was happening behind the scenes. One weekend, she told Josh she was visiting a friend out of town, but I had this weird urge to follow her. It sounds bad, I know, but my instincts were screaming at me that she was lying. So I drove after her to the friend's house she mentioned. I kept my distance and parked far enough away that she wouldn't notice me. A couple hours later, I saw her walk out of the house with a guy I didn't recognize. They didn't look like just friends. They were holding hands, laughing, and acting like a couple. But what really confirmed it was when they kissed in the parking lot, long and passionate, as if there was no Josh waiting for her at home. I was stunned. Watching your own sister cheat is a kind of betrayal that's hard to describe. I drove home in silence, trying to figure out what to do. I felt sick. Josh was a good guy. He didn't deserve this. And Emily, she acted like she was head over heels for him. I was stuck in this weird place of knowing too much and not knowing what to do. On the one hand, Emily was my sister, and I felt some kind of loyalty to her. But on the other hand, I couldn't just sit by while she betrayed someone who clearly loved her. After a week of tormenting myself over what to do, I confronted Emily. I told her that I knew about Alex and that she needed to come clean to Josh. I tried to stay calm, but she just shrugged it off, saying it was a mistake and she had it under control. She actually laughed like it was no big deal. I asked her how she could do that to Josh, and she just said something along the lines of, "It's complicated, you wouldn't understand." It was clear she wasn't planning on telling him. That's when I made the decision that would change everything. I told her if she didn't tell Josh, I would. She freaked out and started crying, saying I was being dramatic and that I was going to ruin her life. She begged me not to say anything, promising she'd stop seeing Alex. But I couldn't. I just couldn't let her walk down the aisle with a lie this big. So after giving her a week to tell Josh, which she didn't, I went to him myself. Josh was devastated. He had no idea. They broke up, of course, and it wasn't long before word got around the family about why. And that's when the real nightmare began for me. My family, particularly my parents, were furious at me. They accused me of destroying Emily's life, saying that she made a mistake and I had no right to interfere. They said it wasn't my business and that I'd betrayed the family. My mom went so far as to say, "You've ruined her chances at happiness." They felt I should have kept my mouth shut and let them work it out. My dad didn't speak to me for weeks. The worst part was Emily. She cut me out of her life completely. In her eyes, I was the villain. She told me that she hated me and that she'd never forgive me for humiliating her. I tried to explain that I did it because I cared about her, but she wouldn't listen. It didn't take long for the rest of the family to follow suit. One by one, they all started distancing themselves from me. I was no longer invited to family events, and when I did show up, I was treated like an outcast. My parents kept making excuses for Emily, saying everyone makes mistakes, and it was just a fling. She didn't mean anything by it. I was floored. Eventually, the tension became unbearable, and I was outright disowned. My parents told me not to come to family gatherings anymore, and my siblings stopped talking to me. It felt like my entire family chose Emily over me. I tried reaching out a few times, but it was clear they weren't interested in making amends. So I moved on, without them. Fast forward to now, 7 years later. I haven't spoken to Emily or my parents in years. I built a new life for myself, found a great group of friends, and even got married. My wife has been incredibly supportive through all of this, but I'll admit that the pain of being cut off from my family never fully went away. It's like a wound that never really healed. Out of the blue, about a month ago, I got a phone call from my mom. At first, I thought it was some kind of mistake, but no, it was her. She started off with small talk, like nothing had happened, but I wasn't having it. I asked her straight up why she was calling after all these years. That's when she broke down crying, saying my dad was sick. He had some kind of serious heart condition and needed help, especially since Emily wasn't around to assist. Apparently, Emily had moved abroad with her new husband, and my mom said she had no one else to turn to. I was stunned. After all these years of being shut out, they were only coming back to me because they needed something. My mom tried to guilt trip me, saying that family is family and that I should help because Dad was sick. But it all felt so wrong. Where was this sentiment when I was the one being tossed aside? She tried to justify their treatment of me, saying that they had been under stress back then. But I could tell this was more about convenience than real remorse. I told her I needed time to think about it and hung up. Since then, I've been bombarded with messages from my siblings and even some extended family members, all saying that I should forgive and forget. They're acting like I'm the one being difficult, like I'm the one who needs to apologize for what happened. But here's the thing. I did nothing wrong. I stood up for what I believed was right. I wasn't the one who cheated, and I wasn't the one who disowned anyone. I'm angry that now, after all this time, they think they can just waltz back into my life like nothing happened. I can't help but feel like they're only reaching out because they need something from me. Maybe they want me to help with Dad, or maybe they just want to clear their conscience. But either way, it feels wrong. Am I the a-hole? So, Reddit, here's where I need your judgment. Am I the a-hole for not wanting to forgive my family after they disowned me? Well, it looks like OP's family only cares now because they need something from OP. If Emily was still around, they probably wouldn't even think of reaching out. OP has every right to protect himself from being used. They made their choice when they disowned him, and now they can't just erase that because it's convenient for them now. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Your family sounds toxic. They expect loyalty from you, but didn't give you any in return. You were looking out for Josh, and you did the right thing. Emily was in the wrong, but they turned on you instead. You owe them nothing, not the a-hole. I think it's fair to want some sort of apology or acknowledgement of how they hurt you before you even think about reconnecting. They haven't even owned up to the way they treated you. Not the a-hole. Stand your ground. Absolutely not the a-hole. It's funny how people are so quick to preach family loyalty when it suits them. But when you were the one who needed loyalty, they abandoned you. They can't pick and choose when to be a family. Here's the deal. I've been dating my girlfriend, let's call her Stacy, for close to 8 years now. I asked Stacy to be my girlfriend in December of 2012. At the time, I just turned 16, meaning a month prior to asking her out, I was 15. Stacy shares the same birthday month as me, and we are the same age. When I first asked Stacy out, she made it very apparent to me that I wasn't allowed to meet her family, since her mother would K her if she had a boyfriend. At age 16, being in a secret relationship wasn't a problem. I understood her situation, i.e., her mother was, by definition, a narcissistic, overly religious person who cared about her own reputation more than the well-being of her children. Her mother forced her to go to church, participate, told her how to dress, what schools to go to. Basically, her mother had her foot in every single decision my girlfriend made. Stacy always tried to make whatever little time for me she could. Now, don't get me wrong. I appreciated the little 15-minute dates we had every Thursday, where she was let out of school early and could come hang out with me before her mother got home for church. I appreciated every effort she made for me. However, her mother was so bad that if Stacy was out of line or did something the mother didn't like, she would disconnect Stacy's phone, not let her out of the house, wouldn't give her money if she needed it, and God forbid Stacy was outside for anything past her curfew. She'd literally get harassed over the phone. Her mother would call her non-stop, and the disgusting texts. Basically, the mother created such a toxic living environment for her that she never wanted to bring me around. So it really affected our relationship from the inside out. Now, what in the world does the mother have to do with her not getting a ring? I mean, at the age of 16, it was cool with me to be a secret. But I turned 24 this Sunday, and I haven't met one aunt, one uncle, no grandparents. Aside from her cool cousin and her sister, her entire family does not know she's dating me. Yes, for close to 8 years I've been a secret. Now, if this bothered me so much throughout the years, why didn't I just leave? To be honest, I really don't know. I mean, I fell in love with her. I hoped that at one point this would change, and I held on to that hope. It's ducked up. For the last 8 years, I haven't seen her once on her birthday, Christmas, Thanksgiving, graduations, celebrations, family parties. And this year, her B-Day just passed. And while she's out partying with her family, I'm at home, by myself, texting her when she's free to talk for 5 minutes. I've opened my world to her. Everything I just listed, she's been able to do for me and my family. She has a bond with my entire family, my animals. She's been here for every birthday of mine. She's been to my family celebrations, my cousin's sweet 16s, my father's 50th birthday party. She's done everything. She has a healthy, functioning relationship she can turn to. But I don't have that, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of feeling like a 24-year-old still in a 16-year-old's relationship. Obviously, I want the same relationship she has with my family, but with her family. I want to be loved. I want to call her mother and shoot the poop with her the same way she calls my mother and does it. It's unfair, and I truthfully feel like I resent her for making me live this way for the past 8 years. I mean, all of this seems like an easy comparison, right? Meet her family, build a relationship, then propose, right? Nope. Stacy is tired of waiting, and every other week it seems to be a new argument with her about us. Today, one of her coworkers asked her if she had a boyfriend. Then he asked how long we've been together. Then he said, "Wow, after 5 years and he still didn't pop the question, I'd just leave him." That comment came home with her, and I had to deal with it. So somebody she doesn't know from a hole in the wall just told her how to feel, who doesn't know her, doesn't know her relationship, her story, but she values his words more than she values mine. Here's what I want. I'm 23 years old, turning 24. I just landed a fantastic job that was ripped away from me 6 months ago that I cannot return to, and I cannot rely on when quarantine is over. I live at home. I have some savings, but I'm sleeping in a bunk bed still, and I'm currently still dependent on my parents. The first step I was about to take into the real world and finally start becoming a man was ripped away from me. I know I'm not ready now. I can't support us. I can't support myself. There's nothing I can do right now to be married or even think about starting a family. So all I asked her for was one simple thing: patience. If she could just wait for me to get comfortable, land a decent job, have some money saved before we make our major life decision. She doesn't want to wait. It's been 8 years already and I look like a dumb butt still dating you, is what I have to hear every second week. I tell her all the time that we should become roommates and live together in a studio apartment when things get back to normal. But she doesn't want to move in unless we're married, which is another huge problem I have, and she won't budge on that. So now I'm in a relationship where I'm being forced to propose to her and have her go home and tell her family that some mystery man that nobody knows put a ring on her finger. Live at home for the next few years and move in with her when I finally get married. I see this as all backwards, and she refuses to understand where I come from. I'm a very level-headed person. I understand where she's coming from, and I understand her frustration. But she doesn't show me sympathy or empathy. I tried to give her multiple compromises. I said to her simply, let's move out, split a cheap apartment, build, meet your family, and get married when the time's right. However, Stacy refuses. She won't move in with me, doesn't want to introduce me unless she's married or engaged, and wants me to engage ASAP. I'm tired of compromising for her to tell me no, it's my way or the highway. I love this girl. I don't want to be with anybody else, but I can't throw my life away, commit to a major obligation to her when I'm not happy. She refuses to listen, refuses to see my side. And now this is the third fight we've had in the past month where she walked out on me saying she's going to find somebody else. I'll be honest, I don't want her to. I've been thinking about just proposing and working on building us, but I feel as if all I'm doing is allowing her to push the envelope on me and will force me into other situations, like children or a house if I say yes to her and don't compromise. I really don't know what to do now. We've been together since we were 15, 16. We grew together. Many people told me 8 years from age 16 is much different than 8 years from 22, and I don't know if that's true anymore. She's pressing me hard, and I don't want to lose her, but at the same time, I'm afraid of making the wrong decision. All I can say is she's at level 30 in her relationship, and I feel like I'm still at level 5. If she's hidden you from her family for 8 years, what else is she hiding? Are you the secret or just a secret? Sorry, just seems foul. It's unclear to me why you want to stay with her, to be honest. You already have resentment towards her for not introducing you to the family for 8 years. That is not normal at all. Also, she doesn't even listen to you or care what you want or need at all. And why do you think that would change once you're married? This relationship seems extremely unbalanced. Marriage is two people uniting, yes, but it's also two families joining together. So you're expected to become part of a family you don't even know. It's ridiculous to expect that from you. Putting myself in your situation, that would feel really discouraging, upsetting, and I'd feel like an outcast. This bit that you wrote is what caught my attention the most. But I feel as if all I'm doing is allowing her to push the envelope on me and will force me into other things, like children or a house if I say yes to her and don't compromise. Spot on. It will only get worse from here. Red flags that show up in the dating phase always become more serious problems later. You could see a therapist to discuss the situation, but I think you'll get similar feedback.